What if the 1976 Steelers faced the 2007 Patriots? Yes, I'm serious. Today, we're teleporting the 1976 Steelers defense straight into 2007 to face the Patriots offense. But how would this even work? First, we're going to break down how good each team was, then we lay out the ground rules for this completely unrealistic scenario, and finally, we'll see what happens when they go head to head. First, we have the Steelers, who allowed 9.9 points per game in 1976. What's interesting is that they got off to a terrible 1-4 start. That includes a blown 28-14 lead with less than 5 minutes left in week 1, as well as a blown 20-9 lead in the third quarter in week 3. The defense allowed 22 points a game. That ranked them 12th in points allowed, nothing special. Then quarterback Terry Bradshaw got injured in week 5. The team looked doomed. But instead, it kicked off the greatest stretch by a defense in NFL history. From week 6 to 14, they allowed 28 points. Total. That's 3.1 points per game. It included 5 shutouts, with no touchdowns allowed in 8 of the final 9 games. The next best defense that season allowed 12.2 points per game. We'll break down the stats a little more when the teams go head to head, but now we need to look at the roster. The Steelers were loaded with talent. 8 Pro Bowlers that season, and 4 future Hall of Famers. Despite such a stacked team, like the Patriots, they wouldn't win the Super Bowl. They lost to the Raiders in the AFC Championship. Although they lost because both of their running backs were injured in the divisional round. Franco Harris and Rocky Bleier were responsible for 47% of the Steelers' yards that season. With very little offensive production, the Steelers could not hold off the Raiders in the AFC Championship. On the other side of the ball, the 2007 Patriots. They became the first and only team to go 16-0, averaging almost 37 points a game, the highest ever at the time. It's interesting because the Patriots had the inverse of the Steelers season. They started off red hot and then ended slow. You can see Brady's stats were better in weeks 1 to 11 than weeks 12 to 17. The offensive line, which had 3 Pro Bowlers that season, allowed just 10 sacks in the first 10 games. But then they allowed 11 sacks in the final 6 games. And only one of their first 12 games was decided by 10 points or fewer. But 4 of their final 6 ended within 10 points. The team still had a phenomenal season though. Brady threw a then NFL record of 50 touchdowns and just 8 interceptions. His new target, Randy Moss, caught an NFL record 23 touchdowns, and Wes Welker tied for the most receptions in the NFL. So those are the two teams. Before we put them head to head, we need to go over the assumptions I've had to make for this scenario to work. The biggest obstacle is adjusting for error. I'm assuming the Steelers are able to adjust to the 2007 rules because they proved they already could. The Mel Blount rule came into effect in 1978, allowing defenders to hit a receiver just once within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. After that, contact would be a penalty. Blount went on to receive 3 more Pro Bowls and All-Pro selections after the rule. The team also had the best defense in 1978 and 5th best in 1979. If they can make the adjustment back then, I think they could do the same now. That goes for the physicality of the game, as well as the fact that teams pass more. Another difference is size. With the advancement of training and nutrition, players have got much bigger. For example, the average O-lineman weighed about 255 pounds in the 70s, but over 300 pounds in the 2000s. So we either give them access to modern training and nutrition so that they can beef up, or, yeah, they're at a disadvantage. But if you take a player like Mean Joe Green, give him a couple weights, he's going to be dominant in any era. Then we have the 800-pound gorilla in the room, the New York Giants, who pulled off one of the biggest upsets in NFL history. They had a great game plan, but I really do think this game was an outlier, and I don't think it's enough to dismiss one of the greatest offensive seasons ever. The Giants were red hot, the Patriots were slowing down, and if we're comparing both teams at their absolute best, the outcome is anything but certain. And finally, it's worth noting, I am ignoring that both teams would have to play offense and defense as well, but that wasn't my original question, okay? With that said, let's get into the head-to-head. The Patriots scored almost 4 times as many points as the Steelers allowed. Most of their yards and points came through the air. They threw for about 300 yards a game and 3 touchdowns. The Steelers, on the other hand, allowed 133 pass yards, but of course, we have to adjust for the error. In 1976, there were just 15 games where a quarterback threw for more than 300 yards. That's 8% of all games that season. In 2007, there were 81 games. Passing is obviously more prolific now, but I've already said it, I think the Steelers would have no problem adjusting. But the stats aren't enough. Let's take a look at the personnel matchups. The entire Steelers secondary went to the Pro Bowl in 1976, but they would have their hands full, as the Patriots had 2 receivers go for more than 1,000 yards. First off, Randy Moss. That would be Mel Blount's assignment. Physically, he matches up well. He's 6'3", Moss is 6'4". He is one of the greatest corners ever, but Randy Moss is Randy Moss, a freak of nature. I would give Moss the edge here, but the Steelers could somewhat neutralize him by double teaming him. Another guy they need to worry about is Wes Welker. A quick, small slot receiver was not a thing in 1976. Against the Patriots, teams would try to put a linebacker on Welker, and he would just rack up yards after the catch. But the Steelers had a secret weapon. Chuck Noll said he was the fastest Steeler in the first 10 yards, Jack Ham. He wasn't just fast, he was also excellent in coverage. With him and Jack Lambert covering the middle, I think Welker's going to have a hard time. Equally important as the pass game is protection. The Patriots allowed about a sack a game, but the Steelers finished with 3 sacks a game. The Patriots O-line was good, but good luck stopping these guys. And the thing is, the Steelers don't need to blitz. In the 2007 Super Bowl, the Giants blitzed less than their Week 17 matchup, but sacked Brady more. That means the Steelers can focus even more on stopping the pass. One thing going for the Patriots, if they're able to control the tempo of the game, they could neutralize the pressure. They were pretty aggressive using the no huddle. If they can get the Steelers playing from behind early, that will give them their best shot. Now passing and protection will be the most important part of this game, but we can't forget the run. The Patriots did have a solid run game, but on the other hand, the Steelers' run defense ranked first in the NFL. Now if you separate the Steelers' first 5 games from their final 9 when they hit their stride, it gets even better for the Steelers. The Patriots of course want to keep the Steelers honest by avoiding an overly pass-heavy approach. Part of their downfall against the Giants was that they completely abandoned the run. They averaged 28 attempts a game in the regular season, even 26 against the Giants in Week 17, but only had 16 attempts in the Super Bowl. They weren't having success on the ground, but they probably should have kept running. Boxing yourself into passing only makes it easier for the defense. That being said, the Steelers' front 4 is so dominant, it'd be tough to get many yards there. So those were the 3 buckets I thought worth breaking down. If you think I missed something important, please let me know. I also thought, does history have an answer for us? Kind of. Of the top 10 scoring offenses in NFL history, 0 have won the Super Bowl. Historic defenses like the 85 Bears or the 2000 Ravens have won on the other hand. But we're talking about a one-off game, not a Super Bowl. I think that's a different story. The Patriots beat the Giants in the regular season, but lost in the Super Bowl. Now, even though I assume the Steelers could fit into the modern era, they still have to keep their defensive identity to win. Tough, physical, low scoring. The Patriots, of course, want to go the other direction. They average 38 points a game, so they'll try and air the ball out. If they can even get 25 points, can the Steelers keep up? It's a question of who can take control and impose their style of play. My opinion is the Steelers. That defense was absolutely suffocating. But let me know what you think, and if there's other matchups you think I should explore, or if this was just a completely ridiculous idea.